Local artists from everywhere are coming together in Cleveland to learn more about each other, but also collaborate and work together. And now we are here at Jefferson Park for a little spin-off called City Sounds at Jefferson Park. Some of the views expressed by some of the guests on this podcast do not reflect those on Cleveland Finest Entertainment, Cleveland Finest record label, or Inquisitor Media. Listener discretion is advised.
Mad at you, you're just good pussy and attitude. You never knew how to show gratitude. There's a million other things I'd rather do than be mad at you. I'm not mad at you, I just realized I don't want to be sad with you, cause you're miserable and it's bad with you.
All right, welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of City Sounds. We are right here at Jefferson Park at the Cleveland Finest Entertainment and Cleveland Finest Record event today. And we're talking to some of our local artists in this mini-shows to see a little bit of what's going on in their lives, but also what are the struggles of being an artist and how we kind of overcome those. Today with me, I have
HBS-EBF BUK.
And tell me a little bit about you, what inspired you to write and, rap, sing, or music? And what age were you when you started? How old are you now? And what part of Cleveland are you based off?
What started me with music was depression, coping. I just knew how to put my words into a rhythm or rhymes, I guess. I actually started off with poetry, and then I transitioned from poetry into music. I started off with strictly hip hop, rap, and then I transitioned over to punk rock, and then I decided to combine them and make my own genre, just punk rock rap. So I started when I was 16. That's when I started writing, and I'm 34 now. So.
And I like that. So I don't know if you don't mind elaborating a little more on that. Pop rock, like rap rock genre that you have created together. Like how does that come together?
It one of my favorite artists growing up. I used to listen to VH1 a lot. So Avril Lavigne, Kelly Clarkson. I used to always love singing their songs. So when I hear a rock beat or a punk rock beat, since I most recently been rapping all my since 16, I just rap over punk rock beats, but I also sing with it too whenever I feel like I could, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I feel the beats.
No, yeah, it seems like it's like a cool thing. I love rock. It's one of my favorite genres of music and stuff. And seeing, those two mix, it's like so cool to understand that. But you also said you were yourself a poet, which poetry lives in people's blood, does never leave. And now you're like using that to create your music, which is like very interesting. Take it into this. So how does that happen? You look at current political issues, like your life. Are you looking at the world, what's going on, someone else's life? How do you come together to bring that music into the words you put it together?
Oh, it's always my life. I used to cope in worse ways, and music is my better way of coping. So I'm very detailed when I put my life into my music. A lot of people, a lot of artists, when they rap about or do music about suicide or depression, they stop there. I go beyond that, and I no filter. I give the raw what I've done in my suicidal days, when I've had depression. So
Yeah, absolutely. And so you're mentioning that part, and one of the biggest things that you're saying, you cope, and music is the best way to do it. How does music help and how do you think helps other people cope in life?
no, because when you hear what someone else's song can put in words of what you felt, but weren't able to put into words, it does something. Just like when you hear your new favorite song, you might be going through something, and you hear a song that for some reason is exactly what you're going through, or you relate and you feel connected to that song. I want people to feel that when they hear my music, because I want my music to make people smile through sad times.
Absolutely, and I think that's beautiful. Bringing a smile to people's faces with your music. Someone who easily is influenced by music myself, and I love music. When I'm sad, when I'm happy, I like to listen to music. It's one of the things that keeps me going and inspire me to do more. But that's completely personal thought here, and out of my next question for you. But you're collaborating with a group where as you said, a lot of people have different styles, but your style is something new to bring to this group.
Yeah.
And in one of the seasons of City Sounds itself, I interview a singer.
Mhm.
Now you yourself are like rock plus bringing everything to the rock side into a group of like rappers, singers, and everybody. How do you find that collaboration? And creating the music. Are you find it easy collaborating with them, bringing your style with their style? Do you find it hard? And what are some struggles in there?
Sometimes I find it a little complicated, but punk rock or rock actually comes easier to me than rapping, even though I've been doing it longer. So just feeling the tempo and the different highs and lows of beats and what I could like play around with. I always recommend to other artists to experiment from what you're used to, because you never know what you might come up with.
Absolutely. And you tell me, you started doing this at the age of 16,
Yeah.
specifically. There's a 16-year-old out there who's like, trying to begin and do this. They're confused. They don't know if like poetry, music, maybe even rock is their way to go. What is some word of advice do you give them as someone, who's like so versatile in this world? You're doing so much. And at the same time, you have so much under your belt. Actually, you're an artist in every possible way. What are some words do you give them of advice to continue?
Don't be afraid to try new things, and don't be afraid to try everything. You're not limited to doing one thing at a time. So try anything you could think of and find what sticks.
Absolutely. And when people are trying to find you, find more about, like your social media and your music, how can they like go online and find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at EBF underscore BUK underscore HBS. On Spotify and all other music platforms at EBF space BUK. Also, my name stands for everybody's favorite bright and usual kid, so that's something. Oh, also, I have a well, go ahead.
No, no, please go ahead.
No, I have an upcoming my newest single, GPA stands for Good Pussy and Attitude, comes out June 30th. Get the pre-save on my bio.
All right. And for those at home, as we always say, you can find the links to everything if you're on YouTube in the description below. If you're on Spotify, by clicking that link or going to your web browser and searching www.citysounds.com. And if you are or know someone who is having suicidal thoughts or anything, you can also find help by going to www.inquisitormedia.net/help. And for those, also remember 988 is available for everybody. And that will be also linked below or in the link through Spotify. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thank you so much for listening. This is City Sounds at Jefferson Park, a spin-off of City Sounds Stories from Cleveland Artists. I am your host, Juan Collado Díaz. This episode and all other episodes were produced by Alonso Knight and the Cleveland Finest Entertainment crew, Cleveland Finest Record, and Inquisitor Media. To find more about City Sounds, make sure to visit www.citysoundspod and inquisitormedia.net on your platforms. And you can find us on Instagram at CitySoundsPod. Thank you for listening.